Your sales cycle is extremely long. You're not getting the deals closed in the time that you first anticipated, and now it is affecting the bottom line. What should you do about it? I got an answer for you. Stay tuned. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. On this episode, we're going to be talking about, yes, you guessed it, you saw it in the title already, so it's all gravy. We're going to be talking to you today about how you shorten that sales cycle, because that long sales cycle, it's becoming a fad, right? It's becoming common, and there's several reasons why, but I'm going to give you some ideas of how you can shorten it. If this is your first time listening to our podcast, please subscribe, and we'll make sure to notify you every time we drop a new piece of content. The goal here of this podcast is to help you to be able to build pipeline, to generate money, and to be able to become the best salesperson you can possibly be, and I want to assist with that. Let's go ahead and dive in, and let's not waste too much time. The first thing I want to talk about is just the fact that it's this case. Yes, sales cycle are becoming longer. There's several reasons that we've seen. One is because people don't want to mess up. It's just the way it is. The majority of the majority of the situation right now, or push back to this, that people don't want to lose their jobs. And because of that, they don't want to make an improper decision that if negatively affect the company, and their job is on the line. So it's a concern for people. Number two, what I find from it as well, why we're seeing such long sales cycle. These are things that are not necessarily fully in your control. I'll get to the things into your control. Is because because of the same idea again. They're relying based on committees. And a lot of people are doing that. Most sales right now, I think even a small company is taking anywhere from 2 to 3 people, but generally you're probably going to look up to 8 individuals, 7 to 8, I believe it was, that are part of that decision-making committee. And it could be more, but just let's think on that. 7 to 8 individuals that will be a part of the decision-making. They may not be, well, I check it off and I approve, I check it off and approve, but their nod, so to speak, or their influence is a part of that process. Because of the simple fact that nobody wants to make a bad decision, they want to make this decision as a committee. And that causes, trying to get a bunch of people together who their job is not to buy solution. They're trying to run marketing department. They have meetings all day where they're trying to run sales teams, or they're trying to do all these other things. They have so many other things that they have going on. Trying to get them together to the table is just difficult in the first place. And they may have different levels of where they see value in this, right? And then the third thing that I find that's making some of these deals go a little bit longer is just still some uncertainties in the economy based on where people are. So you find that happens, and they may want to stretch it out and want to make a good decision. They just don't have tons of cash that they're sitting on, as always, like in the past. So this takes great sellers to be able to navigate this. And I'm just going to tell you, it ain't easy. Like, you just have to do work. And that's the part that may make people, they just feel like, some sellers feel like if they just go to the prospect and tell them their company name and offer their solution, that they should be successful and they should be able to get the sale. But that's not how it works. It requires you as the seller to be able to bring to be able to figure out solution to the problem and to make things work. So let me go ahead and dive into this, and I'll explain the first couple of parts to you right off the bat. First one I want to tell you is that there are things that are in your control that you're probably not leveraging, and I want to give you that. So I just want to set the stage of some of the challenges out there, but I'm going to focus on the things that are in your control, and that I found to be effective. And these could help some of the things that are not necessarily fully in your control. The first one I want to tell you, your buyer don't know how to buy your product. Just think about it. Think about it. You're dealing with an HR manager, and how often did she buy your solution? If that was the case, then she should be out of a job, but she's buying it over and over again. This is probably not the case, unless it's like something really, really commonplace. And if it is, she probably has a couple vendors that she's going to go back to time and time again. But the point I'm trying to make is, like, especially if it's an HR software, like, do you really think that, Lisa from HR is going to buy that every single week or every single month? Every quarter? Of course not. She doesn't know how to do that. Last time, the one that they have in place was the one that she inherited when she got involved in the company. So she's not even the one that was using this prior, not the one that made a decision on it. But now they're looking for a new solution, and she's never purchased this before. So what do you expect at this point? She has no clue how to buy the product, but she's your champion. So you got to teach them. You got to tell them how the process works. You are the consultant, and don't act like you're you're an order taker. Forget that crap, man. You're worth a lot more than that. Shoot, you got making 80,000 a year base, and plus your commission that you can get on top of that is another 80. You work $160,000 a year. You're $160,000 a year consultant, and you're behaving like a $40,000 a year person. No, take control of the situation. All right. Be a big kid. Here's what I mean by that. Now, when it comes to that, you tell Lisa, and I'm not saying you be a jerk, but I want you to outline to Lisa. Lisa, typically when people are investing in a solution, I want to go through this. And this is with your champion, right? You figure out their needs and whatever tool you use. If you're using like Neat, you're using Bant, you're using Challenger, whatever. Even if you're using spin selling or using Sandler, I don't care what methodology you use. The point I'm trying to make is that you need to make sure you get the core things right. But I want you to understand this is where you need to come down to, and where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. You just need to have a straight up conversation with Lisa and say, Lisa, when people buy our solution, here's the process that we work with as our organization, as a consultant that has done this for the past, our company been around for the past 30 years, working with HR directors, just like yourself in a manufacturing space or in a finance space. Here's the process that typically happens. I want to know, what is your process internally when it comes to acquisition of these solutions? Well, I have no clue. I've never done it before. Well, great. I'll send you this, and this is a process that we can work off of. Do you think this could work? Or who else, who's in your organization from your buying committee that would be, may understand some of your purchasing department, so to speak, that would be, what can shed some light to you on your internal buying process? She may have done that research already internally, and maybe she hasn't, but now you are a consultant, so you got to help her do this. And the way you can do this, stretch this out, is not stretch it out, but shorten this process. Again, this long sales cycle, you would say most of the time, and you just call it out. Most of the time, Lisa, the reason why solutions like this don't work for organization is not because the solution isn't good, and it's not because it's, it can't help them. What typically happens, and you've probably seen this in your organization, is that there's a lot of different people trying to get to the table, and everyone has different opinions, and then no one has a process. So to shorten that process and help our clients, we do have the process that we've utilized for companies like yourself for the past 30 years, and I want to just show you that so you can understand it. So if we really want to fix this problem by May, here's the process that we all would need to be on to make that happen. Now, for you doing this as a consultant, you just cut off a bunch of time for me that I don't have to go internally and go try to do all of this stuff and figure out and make up a process. No, this is the buying process that we typically see. And yeah, they may come back and say, well, ours is different. We have to spend more than 60. If this is going to be over 60, so we have to, get procurement involved or whatever. But the point is, now you gave her the view. You show her 65% of the human population. Write that down. Take a picture. 65% of the human population are visual people, and we're selling to them in non-visual ways all the time. No wonder why they get off the call, and they have 14 other. If you listen to my episode the other day back on, were published for Monday, you'll see the same concept that I talked about is from the seller standpoint. You have so many other things that's in your way on your day-to-day basis that your selling activity, it gets pushed to the side often. Now think about this buyer. She has so many other HR things, and same thing with the other committee members. They have so many other things that they're doing that the buying of a solution, that wasn't priority on their list. So therefore, they're going to get distracted by it. So, but you just shortened that and gave them the process. You could call it the mutual action plan as well, where you work together on that. But you might say, when I get this question, when should you introduce the mutual action plan? Bro, I'm introducing a plan in that disco. I'm showing them what that looks like. We can adjust that in the next meetings over time, but I'm showing them this is what typically happens. If your timeline is 3 months to get this in place, this is what we need to follow. 2 months, 1 month, this is what we need to get in place. And it's just going to be truncating it. You could adjust the time frame, but you just want to show them the things that we have to do and you're going to have to do internally to make this happen. Sellers may push back on this and say, what if we introduce stuff that they don't have to do? Well, listen, they'll tell you they don't have to do it, man. We're not playing games. The problem, though, is I'm not going to be assuming and, they don't know what to do. I'm like, well, Lisa's going to come back and tell us. I can't wait 6 months for the deal to close. I'm trying to get this thing closed in 3 months. You do this, and it makes the deal process a lot faster. Next thing, is that you so that's the first one, your mutual action plan, or you show them what to do. Number two is that you need a multi-thread because there's so many people involved. Bro, if you don't have, insist, if you do not have Sales Navigator, and if you want to get it for free, go check out my link. The reason, well, LinkedIn typically give you, if you sign up for Navigator for free for 30 days, listeners to our podcast get it for 60 days. And it's the sales evangelist, linkedin.com/TSE. It's in the show notes. LinkedIn.com/TSE. But in sales of in in Navigator, you can create a org chart. So you can start piecing together who these people are. So you can make sure, did I already connect with this individual and put them in a CRM? Did I have a conversation with them? Did I engage with them? Are they engaging back with me? Because once you can get these people to start connecting with you and you have a relationship with them, bro, you will be able to make this thing go by so much faster because you can then go and pull the lever. The problem that happens is that I'm going to go back through Mary, my champion, for her to go and connect with the IT Bob. And Bob is, has, again, up to his eyeballs on different things. And he already has 15 other initiatives. And this is just, he just needs to give the tech check off on this. You see what I'm trying to get at? And Mary has all her other stuff. This is what happens inside of their organization. When you're saying the sales process is long and why they're not responding, they're not responding because they have several other things they have going on because they're running a whole department. I'm trying to make sure, I'm trying to like get to you on this one. Like, I'm getting passionate about it because this is what happened. You're not the most important thing in their life at this point. I'm just, please don't get offended by it. So I have done, and I've done this mistake. So I'm speaking from real world experience from my side, especially the client side and the individuals that I've coached. I ain't making this stuff up, and I ain't been around the block just for 2 days. I've been doing this since, like, running our training organizations since 2013. 2013, I started moodlining officially my business in 2015. So I have seen it, I know it, and I'm telling you, this is what's happening. I've spoken to the prospects, and I've spoken to the sales rep. So you can go ahead and make the mistake at your peril, but I'm trying to tell you, this is what's going on internally. Write it down, take a picture, right? Smokey would say. But you got to multi-thread. So how do I multi-thread without burning bridges? Just talk to the people. Like, the more people you can start connecting with from the jump of it, just say, hey, I'm talking to Lisa, Mary in HR. Mary's her name, right? I'm connected with Mary in HR. Wanted to introduce myself about the blanky to blank. Wanted to introduce myself, permission to connect here on LinkedIn or whatnot. Something like that, but you start getting engagement with them, comment on their stuff. Then when they start engaging back, you can start, that allows for when the meeting to come, you guys can already have a bridge that you already crossed. Now, I told you at the beginning, this stuff ain't easy, right? And they might say, well, Donald, there's so much work. Well, so was making $150,000 off this deal. Yeah, that takes work. So you got to do it. They ain't just giving that stuff out to everybody. And that's the problem that I find, is that some sellers are just not equipped to be sellers. It takes you being a consultant and to be the expert. If you're an order taker, then it's where you're going to be out of a job. AI can do order taking. To be a quarterback and to navigate a complex sales with different individual, that takes talent, and that requires to be a sales consultant. The third thing that I will tell you is that find out what's important to them. So now that I made a connection with them, just say, out of curiosity, Bob, why, you saw that you were part of the committee, or you're going to be typically, IT is a part of the decision-making process when it comes to these tech tools, from what I understand. What's in it for you to do this? Well, Donald, to be honest, I just have to be on it. I've been required to, I want to make sure that we don't bring any tools in the solution in our environment that's not going to be effective, that it integrates well with everything else that we're doing, blah, blah, blah. And now I can understand, like, the last thing you want to do, Bob, is bring something in that, becomes jeopardize the environment. 100%. Well, I would love to jump on a call with you and show you some of the things, or, and go through what you have in your tech stack and show you what we typically have. I can email some of the stuff over. But the point is, I'm starting to make that conversation, working on the side with Bob, IT guy, before, and not relying on my champion to go to Bob and to remember what to say to him. And then she forgets and it feels intimidated and don't want to come back to ask me again about it. And next thing you know, it's the reason why the deal stalls is not because they don't need a solution, is because she feels embarrassed to come back to me multiple times to get the thing that she needs to, get the people involved. Deal elongates, the priority doesn't become a priority anymore. That's what killed the deal. It has nothing to do with the value or the fact that they have if they don't have this, that they don't have money. They have money. So the multi-threading, start doing your stuff from the jump. And again, just I let my champion know. It's like, hey, I'm gonna typically, I connected with Bob on LinkedIn. He's okay. Is he the one that you're gonna have jump into the deal? Yeah, just let them know. Like, just this is what typically happens. I work with all the different departments on the solution, and I'll keep you in a loop, or I'm connected with some of these people. I'll keep you in the loop on that process. Or you want to, find out from them. Do they how they want to go about it. I need to have the conversation with them to get them up to speed. What do you think? Maybe they want to jump and do the quarterback, and they can do a lot of that themselves. But that's what we just need to make sure we are on the same page, and that's where I find that I don't step on toes. Always bring it back to the value. Every single conversation you have with the team, bring it back to the value, because again, the value is going to be different for each individual. Bob don't want to mess up the environment and get fired. Lisa wants to make sure she fixes the solution so she can get promotion later on. But the organization as a whole, what the value is to the organization is that this HR solution is going to let us cut hiring speed by 30%, and it's going to help us to get more talent, top talent, whatever, and cut payroll in half. Well, the payroll process in half. Well, great. Everyone knows what that value is, but then there's a value for each individual. But I always want to bring that back, because we're not just doing a demo. We're doing a demo to solve a problem. So every time you meet with them. So here's the reason why we're meeting. I know right now, currently, this is the situation, blanky to blank. We want to do this so we can cut your hiring process down by 30% and increase your productivity by 50%. Whatever. That doesn't make any sense. Well, you get what I'm saying, right? The point is, figure out the value and push on that. And then the last piece that I wanted to tell you, that when it comes to this shortening the sales cycle, now that you have more people involved, is that you just want to eliminate the risk as much as possible for them throughout that whole process. Let them understand that what will happen. Maybe you have testimonials, how you guys are going to fix the problem or solution in place for them. Or the biggest one that I find is just the risk that maybe the investment may be too much, is giving them options. Salesforce pointed this out in one of their recent state of sales report about how people look at there are a bunch of different options now. So if it does become a financial issue, you can give them payment. Most companies have usage options. So you might say, instead of me just saying buying the number of licenses, maybe it's the time usage in the software. So maybe they're going to use it. I'm making this up, but your team may have something different for usage based on the revenue, and you can probably make more money off of it too. But we might have somebody that's going to use it for whatever 5 hours a week, because it's not a highly used solution. Well, charge them based on that, based on the credits that they're going to use the solution. And then now that becomes different than me paying for a whole thing. It's an interesting concept, but the principle behind it is the buyer usage. And that's something maybe outside of your wheelhouse, but as a executive listening to this podcast, or your management, they're having a meeting, maybe you can bring that up. But the usage rather than just the licenses, because all the licenses may have the similar stuff, but it's just a different model that can help you when it comes to helping the buyers to make an investment faster. And I gave you an example. I purchased a solution. It started off on the lower tier, lower credits. I started using a lot more, so I increased the credits. But when I started, I didn't have that money to spend, or to psychologically break through to pay that much per month to the highest package. But after seeing the value increase and I recognized the usage, I needed it. Of course, I upgraded. It was easier convincing to upgrade to the next level, because of I maxed out my usage level, and the value was totally there. So anyways, it's just an option bonus thing. But when it's all said and done, come back down to it. Here's what I want you to do. Understand a mutual action plan, or set the plan beforehand. Then help them to understand the process and get to know their process. You want to multi-thread. You want to make sure that you find out what's in it for them individual. You want to make sure you stress the value for the organization every time you meet. And then you want to make sure you look at different spending options. If you can do that, it's going to shorten that sales cycle. I want to make sure you also recognize some of the things we talked about before. You got to have a next step after every single meeting. Every single meeting, once you do that mutual action plan, you got to have that next step, and you follow that religiously throughout that process. You do this, and don't be afraid of asking tough questions or the challenging questions or uncomfortable questions in a call. Every time you feel it, just respectfully bring it up and say it, and might say something like, Donald, can I ask you a quick question? Hope this doesn't come too intrusive, but you guys mentioned this. Why even deal with us in the first place? But maybe to give you the true answer at that point. But I'm not afraid of it because I need to have that conversation. I'm not trying to sit on this deal for 6 months. I need the sucker to close. I need to help them fix the problem, and then I can get compensated for it. I would love to get your take on it. If you want to find more information, you want to get help with stuff like this, y'all need to check out my mastermind, bro. Because in the mastermind, we go through this. We break down your sales processes. We challenge you. We help you to be able to hit your sales targets every single quarter. You can find details by going to thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind. I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. But most importantly, I want you to go out and do big things. See you on the next one.